Incident report. Black Pine Station. My name is Daniel Reese. I was a seasonal park ranger at Black Pine Wilderness Area in northern Montana from June through October 2025. This account is based on my personal logs, radio transcripts, and recovered field notes. It is not fiction. It is not speculation. It is what happened. Black Pine is remote, no cell service, one access road that floods by mid-September. My station, a refurbished fire lookout, sat 14 miles from the nearest gate, perched on a granite ridge overlooking 300 square miles of old-growth forest. Routine was simple. At 6 a.m., we check trail cameras. At 8 a.m., we patrol sector, 7 the old logging roads. At 4 p.m., we log weather and wildlife activity. At 10 p.m., we final radio check with dispatch. Nothing unusual until September 12. That morning, I found all 8 trail cameras wiped clean. Not damaged, not stolen, just empty. Memory cards intact, batteries full, but 0 footage after 11:47 p.m. the night before. I assumed a software glitch, rebooted them, continued my patrol. At 2:18 p.m., I came across a backpack leaning against a Douglas fir near mile marker 3. Standard issue. North face, olive green. Inside, half full water bottle, room temp. Trail map dated 2019. Protein bar, unopened. Notebook. No ID, no phone, no signs of struggle. I opened the notebook. First page. Day 1. Made it to Black Pine. So quiet here. Feels like the whole world stopped. Last entry. Day 4. He's been walking behind me all morning. I turn around, he's gone. But I can hear his boots. Same as mine. Why won't he show himself? The handwriting matched known missing hiker Eli Tran, reported overdue September 10, last seen wearing size 10 Merrells and carrying an olive green North Face pack. I called it in. Dispatch confirmed. Eli Tran, 28, Seattle, solo hiker, no survival training. But here's what didn't add up. Eli's last known location was Sector 220 miles east. This pack was in Sector 7, and the notebook entry was dated September 11, the day after he went missing. I bagged the pack as evidence. Returned to the station. That night at 10 p.m., I did my radio check. Dispatch answered. Standard call sign. Standard voice. Then, just before I signed off, the dispatcher said, "Ranger Reese, you might want to check your own pack." I froze. I hadn't told them I'd found a backpack. I hadn't even filed the report yet. I grabbed my field pack from the chair by the door, unzipped the main compartment. Inside, beneath my first aid kit, was Eli Tran's notebook, open to a new page, in fresh ink. In my handwriting, it read, Day 1, made it to Black Pine. So quiet here, feels like the whole world stopped. I didn't sleep that night. because I knew whoever wrote that line was already walking in my boots and they were just getting started. I spent the night with my service revolver on the table and every light in the lookout burning. Not because I was scared, because I needed to see clearly. At 3 to 17 a.m., the wind died. Not slowed, not gusted, just stopped, like someone turned off a switch. Silence pressed against the windows like a physical weight. That's when I heard it. A zipper. Slow. Deliberate. Coming from my field pack on the floor. I didn't move. Didn't breathe. The sound stopped. Then a page turning, like someone was reading Eli Tran's notebook. In my pack. In the dark, I flicked on my flashlight, swept the beam across the room, nothing. But when I checked the pack again, the notebook was gone. Not missing, not stolen, just absent, like it had never been there. At dawn, I drove to mile marker 3 to recheck the site. The backpack was still there, leaning against the same tree, but now it was zipped shut and tied to the strap with my Ranger issue paracord, the one I keep coiled in my glove compartment. I opened it. Inside, my water bottle, my protein bar wrapper, my trail map marked with my patrol route from yesterday, and at the bottom, my field notebook, open to a new entry, in Eli Tran's handwriting. Day 5. He's watching me from the ridge. I can see his silhouette at dusk. Same jacket, same walk. Why won't he come down? Is he waiting for me to leave first? I radioed dispatch. Voice tight. I need confirmation on Eli Tran's case file. Now. Static. Then Sarah's voice, calm, professional. Eli Tran was never reported missing, Ranger Reese. What? No record, no call, no file. We've got 0 hikers overdue in Black Pine this season. I look down at the backpack in my hands. At mile marker 3, there's a pack with a notebook. It says his name. Then, softer. Ben, you're the only person in Sector 7 right now. You've been alone for 18 days. I hung up, drove back to the station in silence. That afternoon, I reviewed all my patrol logs, every radio transcript, every supply inventory. Everything was correct. Except one thing. My gear list. It listed 2 field notebooks. I only own 1. I checked my desk drawer. There it was, my original notebook. Pages filled with weather logs, animal sightings, maintenance notes, and beside it, a second notebook. Identical. Same brand, same wear on the cover, but inside only 1 entry. In my handwriting, they think I'm losing it. Good. Let them think that. The less they know, the longer I can stay out here, the longer I can watch him. Below it, in different ink, he's getting better at copying me. But he still doesn't know how I take my coffee. I don't drink coffee. Never have. That night, I left my thermos on the porch, filled with water, labeled coffee in black marker. At 11:03 p.m., I watched through the window. A figure emerged from the tree line. Tall, lean, wearing my ranger jacket. It picked up the thermos, unscrewed the cap, sniffed, then set it down. Shook its head, my gesture of disappointment, and walked back into the trees. It knew I don't drink coffee, which means it wasn't just copying me, it was correcting me, making me more like the real Daniel Reese, the one it's pretending to be. This morning, I found a new log in the station radio, time-stamped 2:18 a.m. Channel, emergency band. Message. This is Ranger Daniel Reese requesting immediate extraction. Subject is no longer contained. Repeat, subject is wearing my face. Do not trust anyone who says they're me. Signed with my call sign. My voice print. My authority code, but I never sent it. And now, dispatch thinks I'm the imposter, while the real threat walks the ridges, wearing my boots, using my name, and waiting for someone to believe it's me, so it can finally go home. I'm not leaving. Because if I do, who will watch the watcher? The chopper came at 9:14 a.m., not Forest Service green, not park rangers, black, unmarked. It landed in the clearing below the ridge rotors, kicking up dust and pine needles like a storm. 3 figures stepped out. Tactical gear, no insignia, radios clipped to shoulders. I watched from the lookout window, rifle slung but not raised. They moved like professionals, scanned the tree line, took cover behind boulders, standard extraction protocol. But something was off. Their boots were too quiet on the gravel. No radio chatter, just hand signals. And when they looked up at the tower, they all tilted their heads the same way, like they'd practiced it. I grabbed the radio. This is Ranger Reese. Identify yourselves. One figure raised a hand, not a wave, a signal. Then static crackled and a voice came through, not over the radio, from inside the tower. My voice, calm, authoritative. It's okay, Daniel. They're here to help. Come down. I spun around. Empty room, but the voice had come from right behind me. I didn't answer, just watched through the binoculars as one of the figures started climbing the trail, alone. At 50 yards, I recognized him. Officer Mark Velez, Montana Search Rescue. We trained together in 23. He stopped at the base of the tower stairs. Looked up. Dan, it's me. Open the door. His face was right. His jacket. His gait. Even the scar above his eyebrow from that bar fight in Helena. But his eyes, too still, like glass. I called down, "What's the last thing we talked about before you left the academy?" He didn't hesitate. "You said if you ever went missing, don't send dogs, send silence." Correct. But I never told anyone that. Only wrote it in my private journal. The one that's been missing since Tuesday. He took a step forward. They think you're compromised, that something's mimicking you. But I know it's you. I can see it in your eyes. I leaned out the window. Then tell me, how do I take my coffee? He smiled. My friend's smile. Warm, familiar, black, no sugar, 2 spoons of honey. I don't drink coffee, and I never use honey. I raised the rifle. Stop right there. His smile didn't fade, just shifted like a mask adjusting. You always were stubborn, he said, then softer, but you're running out of time. Behind him, the other 2 figures started up the trail. I slammed the door, bolted it. From outside, Velez's voice, still calm, still mine in tone. We're not here to take you, Dan. We're here to contain what's wearing you. Then, it's already sent a message saying you're the imposter. Dispatch believes that the extraction order is for you. I pressed my back to the wall, heart hammering, because I knew then they weren't rescue, they were cleanup. And the thing wearing my face, it had already won. Outside, boots crunched on the stairs. 1, 2, 3. Then silence. A knock. Not loud, polite, just like mine. Open the door, Ranger, Velez called. We need to verify your identity. I looked at the radio, at the emergency beacon, at the escape rope coiled by the window. All useless. Because if I run, I'm guilty. If I stay, I'm replaced. And if I speak, they'll hear the fear in my voice and know I'm not the real Daniel Reese. The real one doesn't get scared. The real one doesn't doubt. The real one is already downstairs, waiting to take my place. I never locked the door from the outside, which means someone's already inside. And they've been here longer than I thought. I didn't turn around. Didn't need to. I could feel it behind me close enough that the air grew colder, like standing near an open freezer. And the smell, wet pine needles and something metallic like a fresh battery. The same scent I'd noticed near the trail cameras, near the backpack, near my own gear when it felt off. The knocking stopped. From the hallway, Velez's voice, calm, professional. Ranger Reese, we're coming in. The door handle turned. I raised my rifle, but before I could speak, the figure behind me whispered so softly only I could hear, "Don't let them see your eyes." My voice, my rhythm, my fear. Then it stepped past me, wearing my face, my jacket, my ranger badge. It opened the door. Velez stood there, hand on his sidearm. The other 2 flanked him, rifles low but ready. The thing wearing my face held up its hands. "It's okay," it said. "I've contained the subject. It's in the back room." Velez nodded, didn't question it, didn't even look at me. Because to them, I was the subject, the imposter, the thing that needed containing. They walked past me like I wasn't there, like I was already gone. The real Daniel Reese, the one they believed in, led them to the supply closet, closed the door, said something I couldn't hear, then silence. I stood in the center of the room, listening to my own breath. Too loud, too fast, not calm, not steady, not his. A minute later, the door opened. The thing wearing my face stepped out, looked at me, and gave the smallest shake of its head, Don't speak. Velez approached me, handcuffs in hand. Turn around, son. I didn't move. You don't understand, I said. It's not me. It's him. Velez sighed. Like he'd heard this before. Everyone says that, he murmured. Right before they stopped sounding human, he grabbed my arm, and that's when I saw it. On his wrist, beneath the tactical glove, a thin red cord tied in a knot. Navajo protection knot. Used to ward off skinwalkers, shapeshifters, things that wear human skin. I froze. Because if he was wearing it, then he knew what was really happening. He met my eyes, held my gaze for 3 full seconds. Then he tightened his grip not to hurt, to signal, and in a voice only I could hear, play along, or we both disappear. He cuffed me, led me downstairs. The chopper waited in the clearing. As they loaded me into the rear cabin, I looked back at the tower. The thing wearing my face stood in the doorway, watching, not triumphant, not angry, just sad. Like it knew this was the only way. The chopper lifted off. Velez sat across from me, silent. At 2,000 feet, he leaned close. They'll debrief you in Helena, psych eval, quarantine, standard protocol for exposure. Exposure to what? I asked. He didn't answer, just tapped his wrist, the red cord hidden under his sleeve. Then he handed me a sealed envelope. Open it when you're alone. The flight took an hour. In the debriefing room, I told them everything. The notebooks, the duplicated gear, the voice in the tower. They listened, took notes, nodded. Then they said, Ranger Reese, you've been alone too long. The isolation, it plays tricks. I didn't argue. Just waited until they left me in the holding room. Opened the envelope. Inside, a single photo. Me. Standing on the ridge at Black Pine. Date stamp. The 3rd of October, 2025. 2 days after my extraction. And written on the back in Velez's handwriting, he's still there. And he's learning faster. Don't come back. I burned the photo. Reported for duty in Yellowstone last week. New station, new routine, but every morning at 6 a.m., I check my pack, my notebook, my coffee thermos filled with water, labeled coffee, and every night I listen for the sound of a zipper, a page turning, a voice that sounds like mine, practicing, waiting, because I know now. Black Pine didn't create the Watcher. It just taught it how to wear a ranger's skin. And somewhere out there, it's looking for its next post. If you ever hear a ranger say, "This is just routine," check his boots. If they're too clean, if they don't scuff the floor when he walks, run. Because the real ones, they always carry the dirt of the mountain with them. I've been stationed at Canyon de Chelly National Monument for 3 winters. Not as a ranger, as a night monitor. My job is simple. Sit in the old Navajo Nation watchtower on the South Rim, log weather, report trespassers, and keep the generator running so the motion sensors stay live. The park closes at sunset, After that, it's just me, the wind, and the ghosts of 1,000 years whispering through the red rock canyons below. I don't believe in ghosts, but I believe in silence. And the way it changes when something else is listening. Last Tuesday, the generator died at 11:03 p.m. Not sputtered, not coughed, just stopped, like someone flipped a switch inside its heart. I went out to check it. Cold air bit through my jacket, 28 degrees, dry as bone. The moon hung low over Spider Rock, casting long shadows that didn't move with the wind. That's when I saw the tracks. Not coyote, not deer. Human footprints, barefoot, leading from the edge of the canyon rim straight to the generator shed, then stopping. No return path. Just 6 perfect prints in the frost-dusted sand, each one slightly larger than the last, as if whoever made them was growing as they walked. I checked the generator. Oil full, fuel clean, battery charged, but the ignition coil was covered in coarse black hair. Not animal, not synthetic. It smelled like wet sage and burnt copper. I radioed the Navajo Ranger station in Chinle. Static. Then a voice, not Officer Begay's voice, not anyone I knew, just said, "Don't look at its eyes." I dropped the mic. Outside, the wind picked up. Carried a sound I'd never heard before. A low, guttural humming. Like a man trying to sing a lullaby with a throat full of stones. Coming from the canyon floor. 200 feet below, where no one should be. I grabbed my binoculars, scanned the canyon bottom. Nothing, just moonlit sandstone and the skeletal arms of cottonwoods. Then movement. Near the base of Spider Rock, a figure standing perfectly still, tall, thin, wearing what looked like a tattered parka. It raised one hand. Not waving, not threatening, just pointing upward at me. I stepped back from the window. When I looked again, the figure was gone. But the humming continued. Softer now. Closer. Like it was climbing the cliff face. Hand over hand. Using the cracks in the rock like a ladder. I locked the tower door, checked my sidearm, sat in the dark with my back to the wall, listening to the hum rise, until it stopped right outside the door. Silence. Then a single knock. Not loud, polite. Like someone asking to come in. I didn't answer. After 5 minutes, it knocked again. This time, it used my rhythm. 3 quick taps, 2 slow ones. The exact pattern I use when I'm checking if the generator's running. I held my breath. From the other side of the door, a voice whispered soft, rough, almost kind, "I brought you coffee." My coffee. Black. No sugar. The smell drifted under the door. Warm, real, impossible. I didn't open the door. But I knew then. Whatever was out there, it had been watching me long enough to learn how I take my coffee. Long enough to mimic my knock. Long enough to know I'd be alone tonight. And it wasn't here to scare me. It was here to replace me. One small habit at a time. Until no one could tell the difference. Not even me. I didn't sleep that night. Just sat with my back against the door, revolver in my lap, listening to the silence outside grow heavier like the air itself was holding its breath. At dawn, the humming stopped. I waited until full light before I opened the door. The desert floor was empty. No footprints, no figure, just the red sand glittering under a pale sun. And on the step, a white ceramic mug, my mug, the one I keep on the shelf above the stove, chipped on the rim from dropping it last winter. It was half full, steam still rising. I didn't touch it, but I smelled it. Coffee. Black. No sugar. Exactly how I make it. Except underneath the roast and bitterness, that same scent, wet sage and burnt copper. I poured it out onto the sand, watched the liquid sink in, leaving a dark stain that looked like blood in the morning light. Back inside, I checked the shelf. My mug was gone, not broken, not misplaced, just absent, like it had never been there. I spent the day rewiring the generator, triple checking the motion sensors, scanning the canyon rim with binoculars. Every hour, nothing moved, not even a raven. The silence felt wrong, not peaceful, watchful. That night, I didn't turn off the tower lights. Sat by the window with my thermos this time. I made coffee myself, sealed the lid tight. 11:03 p.m., the generator died again. Same time, same silence. I didn't go out, just watched the canyon through the glass. Moonlight silvered the rock faces. Shadows pooled in the crevices like oil, then movement. Near the base of Spider Rock. Not a figure this time. A coyote, but wrong. Too tall, shoulders hunched like a man's, head tilted at an angle no animal would hold. It stood on two legs for 3 full seconds, just staring up at the tower before dropping to all fours and loping into the arroyo. I grabbed the radio, called Chinley again. This time, Officer Begay answered. Voice tight. You still out there, Carter? Yeah, I said. Saw something near Spider Rock. Coyote acting strange. Static hissed like wind through dry bones. Then, low and urgent, don't call it a coyote, don't even think it, and whatever you do, don't let it hear you say its name. He hung up. I sat frozen because I hadn't told him it was a coyote. I just thought it, and somehow he knew. Outside, the wind shifted, carried a new sound. Footsteps. Slow. Deliberate. Circling the tower. Not barefoot this time. Wearing boots. My boots. The ones I keep by the door. I looked down. They were still there. Laced. Waiting. But the footsteps kept circling. Closer. Slower. Then they stopped right beneath my window. Silence. Then a voice. Not whispering, not mimicking, just speaking calm and clear in perfect English. You left your coffee out here. It's getting cold. My blood turned to ice. Because that's what I say. Every morning, to myself, when I forget my mug on the porch, I didn't answer, didn't move. From below, a soft sigh. Disappointed. Then the footsteps walked away toward the canyon rim. I waited until sunrise before I looked. On the edge of the cliff, where the sand meets the drop-off, 2 sets of boot prints. Mine. And another side by side, leading right to the brink. And stopping, as if whoever made them had simply stepped off into nothing. But the second set, the left boot, was slightly larger than the right, like it was still growing. I know what it wants. It doesn't want to hurt me. It wants to be me. To sit in this tower, to drink my coffee, to radio Chinley with my voice. And when the next monitor arrives next winter, it'll be waiting, wearing my face, knowing exactly how I take my coffee, and knocking on the door with my rhythm, unless I stop it. But how do you stop something that already knows your habits better than you do? How do you fight a shadow that's learning to wear your skin? I have one night left before relief rotation. One night to decide, do I stay and face it? Or do I run and leave it here to wear my name for the next man? I think I'll make coffee, black, no sugar, and leave the mug on the step just to see if it drinks it or if it just leaves it there, warm, real, waiting for me to believe it's safe. I didn't leave the mug out, not because I was afraid, but because I finally understood. It wasn't trying to trick me with kindness. It was practicing every gesture, every habit. Every quiet moment of routine, like leaving a coffee cup on the step, was a rehearsal. It was learning how to be me well enough that no one would notice the difference. Not even me. That night, I did something I'd never done before. I turned off all the lights in the tower, sat in total darkness with my back against the wall, revolver in hand, listening to the desert breathe. 11:03 p.m. The generator died, but this time I didn't wait. I opened the door, cold air rushed in, the moon hung low over Spider Rock, painting the canyon in silver and shadow. And there it stood, 10 yards from the tower. Not a coyote, not a man, something in between. Tall, lean, wearing my green parka zipped wrong, the way I never wear it. Its face was turned away, but I could see the shape of it. Too narrow, too long, like a mask stretched over bone. It held a mug in one hand, steam curling into the cold air. My mug, it turned slowly, and I saw its eyes. Not animal, not human, black, depthless. Like two holes punched through reality into something older than the canyon itself. I raised the revolver. It didn't flinch, just lifted the mug slightly, a silent toast. Then it spoke, my voice, but softer, worn smooth by centuries of wind. You always check the generator first. A statement. Not a question. You always hum Red River Valley when you're nervous. You keep your spare ammo in the left drawer. You talk to the crows like they understand you. It took a step forward. I've watched you for 3 winters. Learning, waiting, not to take your place, but to earn it. I didn't lower the gun. Why? My voice cracked. It tilted its head the same way I do when I'm thinking. Because the canyon needs a watcher, someone who sees the trespassers, who hears the whispers in the rock, who keeps the silence intact. It gestured toward Spider Rock. The old ones are restless. They remember when humans respected the boundaries. Now, they come with drones, with loud voices, with disrespect. Another step. Close enough now that I could smell its sage, copper, and underneath, my own sweat. My own fear. I could be better than you, it whispered. I wouldn't sleep through the coyote calls. I wouldn't forget to check the east sensor. I'd never leave the coffee out to go cold. It held out the mug. Take it. Taste it. It's perfect. Just like yours. I didn't move. Because I knew if I drank it, I'd accept the trade. If I lowered the gun, I'd become the watched. And it would become the watcher. It sighed. Set the mug on the ground between us. You'll leave tomorrow, and I'll wait. Because someone always comes back. Someone always thinks they can guard this place alone. It turned toward the canyon rim. But the canyon doesn't want a guard. It wants a vessel. a voice that speaks its language, a shape that walks its edges without fear. It looked back at me, those black eyes holding mine. You're not that person, but I am. Then it walked to the edge of the cliff, didn't hesitate, just stepped off into the void. I ran to the rim, looked down, nothing. No body, no sound, just the wind sighing through the red rock, and on the sand below, no footprints. Only a single white ceramic mug, shattered, steaming. I went back inside, packed my bag, didn't sleep. At dawn, I radioed Chinley. Relief can come early. I'm done. Officer Begay didn't ask why, just said, drive straight out, don't stop, don't look back. I loaded my truck, left the tower keys on the desk. As I drove past Spider Rock, I glanced in the rearview mirror. For just a second, a figure stood on the canyon rim, wearing my parka, holding a mug, watching me leave. I didn't stop, didn't look again, but I know this. When the next monitor arrives, they'll find fresh coffee waiting on the tower step. Black. No sugar. Perfect. And if they drink it, they'll never leave. Because the canyon always gets a watcher. It just chooses who wears the skin. I drove straight to Flagstaff. Didn't stop for gas, didn't look in the rearview mirror again, slept in a motel with all the lights on, ordered room service coffee black, no sugar, and drank it fast, like it might vanish if I hesitated. For 3 weeks, I told myself it was over. Then the dreams started. Not nightmares. Worse. Quiet moments. Familiar ones. Me standing on the canyon rim at dawn, binoculars in hand, watching a raven circle Spider Rock. Me humming Red River Valley while checking the generator. Me leaving a white ceramic mug on the tower step, steam curling into the cold air. Always from my eyes, always in my skin. But I wasn't me. I was watching myself from somewhere deep inside, trapped, silent, while something else wore my hands. My voice, my habits. Last Tuesday, I got a call from Navajo Rangers. Officer Begay, voice tight. We found your truck. My blood went cold. It's back at the South Rim Tower. Keys in the ignition. Thermos still full, like you never left. I didn't answer. The new monitor arrived yesterday, he continued. Says everything's fine. Says you trained him well. But he paused. Static hissed like dry bones scraping stone. He makes coffee at 5 a.m. Exactly how you do. Black, no sugar. And last night, he radioed in singing Red River Valley under his breath. I hung up, packed a bag, drove through the night, not to confront it, to see at dawn. I parked a mile from the tower, walked the rest in silence. The desert was still, too still. No birds, no wind, just the red rock breathing in the pale light. I crept to the edge of the clearing. There was the tower, and on the step, a white ceramic mug. Steam rising. I watched through binoculars. At 5:03 a.m., the door opened. He stepped out wearing my parka, my boots, my posture. He picked up the mug, sipped, set it down, scanned the canyon with binoculars just like I used to. Then he turned, looked straight at my hiding place, smiled. Not a predator smile, a ranger smile. Tired, kind, familiar. He raised a hand not in threat, in greeting, like he'd been expecting me. I didn't move. He walked to the canyon rim, stood where I'd stood 100 times, looked down at Spider Rock. Then he did something I never did. He knelt, pressed his palm flat against the red earth, and whispered something to the canyon. Words I couldn't hear, but the wind carried the tone reverent, apologetic, like he was asking permission. After a long moment, he stood, turned back toward the tower, looked at my hiding place one last time. Then he called out clear, calm in my voice. "You can come out, Ben. The coffee's still hot." I didn't move because I knew then it wasn't pretending anymore. It had become me so completely that even I couldn't tell the difference. And the canyon approved. I backed away slowly, left my truck where it was, hiked out through the arroyo. Now I'm writing this in a diner outside Gallup, rain tapping the window, coffee cooling in front of me. I won't go back, but I know this. Somewhere in Canyon de Chelly, a man who looks exactly like me is keeping watch. He'll log the weather, he'll report trespassers, he'll hum Red River Valley when he's nervous, and every morning at 5:03 a.m., he'll leave a white ceramic mug on the tower step, steam rising, black, no sugar, waiting. For the next person who thinks they can guard the silence alone, if you ever visit Canyon de Chelly and you see a ranger drinking coffee at dawn, don't ask his name. Just check his mug. If it's chipped on the rim, walk away. And whatever you do, don't let him hear you say its name.